Most people are not destroyed by suffering. They are destroyed by comfort. A 2023 study found that individuals in high comfort environments report lower purpose, higher anxiety, and deeper emptiness than those facing genuine adversity. The comfortable trap doesn't announce itself. It seduces quietly. By the end, I'll reveal the exact practice Seneca performed every single evening in his Roman villa to shatter his own comfort before it could consume him.
We'll cover three things. First, the anatomy of the comfortable trap. Why the brain mistakes ease for safety and safety for meaning. Then, the Stoic diagnosis. What Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus discovered about the soul's quiet surrender. Finally, the precise philosophical antidote. But the real revelation, the one that will change how you wake up tomorrow, comes only at the end. Picture your life 3 years from now, if nothing changes. Not a catastrophe, something worse. The same routine, the same numbed satisfaction, the same stories you tell yourself about starting tomorrow. The comfortable trap is not laziness. It is the sophisticated architecture of a life built to avoid discomfort so efficiently that it also avoids growth, meaning, and the full experience of being human. The trap has 3 walls. The first is routine comfort, the addiction to predictability that masquerades as discipline. The second is social comfort, surrounding yourself only with voices that confirm what you already believe. The third, and most insidious, is intellectual comfort, the refusal to read, think, or question anything that disturbs your current self-image. Together, these walls form a prison with a velvet interior. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The Stoics did not see comfort as neutral. They saw it as a form of moral corruption, what Seneca called the slow poison administered in doses too small to alarm. In his letters to Lucilius, written around 65 AD, Seneca wrote with grave precision, "It is not that I am brave, it is that I know what I risk by remaining still."
Epictetus, who was born a slave in Hierapolis around 50 AD, understood the comfortable trap through its opposite. He possessed nothing, and therefore controlled everything that mattered. His central teaching, the dichotomy of control, cuts through comfort's illusion. Some things are in our power, others are not. Comfort seduces you into spending your entire life rearranging externals, possessions, status, approval, while your hegemonicon, the ruling faculty of your soul, atrophies in silence.
Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of 8 legions, yet perpetually at war with himself, wrote in his private meditations, never intended for any eye but his own, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He wrote this not as inspiration, but as a correction, a reminder to himself, written at the Danube frontier in 170 AD, that the greatest threat to his virtue was not the barbarian enemy, it was the palace waiting in Rome. The Stoic concept of premeditatio malorum, the deliberate premeditation of adversity, is not pessimism, it is a scalpel. Seneca practiced imagining the loss of everything he owned, wealth, reputation, freedom. Not to despair, but to sever the invisible chains that comfort had fashioned around his will. When you rehearse difficulty, you stop fearing it, and when fear dissolves, the comfortable trap loses its only real power, the threat of discomfort itself.
And if this is stirring something deep in you, subscribe. What comes next dismantles the trap entirely. The Stoic virtue of arete, excellence of character, demands not just thinking differently, but acting differently under pressure. Prosoche, the practice of vigilant attention to one's inner state, is the daily instrument. Not reflection as comfort, but reflection as confrontation. Examining each evening whether your choices moved you toward virtue or deeper into the velvet prison. Wait. What comes next is what few truly understand about the Stoic path. The trap is not broken by ambition. Ambition is merely another external, another rearrangement of furniture in the prison. The trap is broken through amor fati, the complete and unconditional love of your fate, including its difficulty, its friction, its loss. Not tolerance of hardship, love of it. Because hardship is where the hegemonicon finally awakens and begins to rule. Tomorrow morning, before you open your phone, sit with this question for exactly 5 minutes. What am I currently unwilling to lose? Write the answer, physically, on paper. That list is your trap. Every item represents a comfort that commands your behavior without your conscious consent. This is not deprivation philosophy. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus' teacher, trained his students to periodically live without each comfort, not to suffer, but to confirm their freedom from it. The second practice, voluntary discomfort, what Seneca called pauper days. 1 day each week, strip one comfort deliberately. Cold water instead of warmth. Silence instead of stimulation. Walking instead of convenience. Not as punishment, as proof. Epictetus wrote in the Enchiridion, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have tranquil apatheia." Apatheia, not emptiness, but freedom from compulsion. The third practice is the hardest. Confront intellectual comfort. Read one text each week that genuinely threatens your current worldview. Not to abandon your convictions, but to stress test them. The Stoics debated fiercely. Chrysippus, the third head of the Stoic school in Athens, reportedly said, "Give me the arguments against my position, that I may refute them properly." Certainty unchallenged is not wisdom. It is the velvet wall of the comfortable intellectual prison. In the winter of 49 BC, Julius Caesar stood at the Rubicon River and hesitated. History remembers the crossing. History forgets the hesitation. The moment comfort pleaded its case one final time. But consider his counterpart, Cato the Younger, who that same decade walked barefoot across the Libyan desert, refusing carriages, sharing soldiers' rations, sleeping on open ground. Not to suffer, to prove to himself and every man watching that his soul commanded his comfort, not the reverse. Cato died in Utica in 46 BC, unbowed. He had written nothing, no meditations, no letters. His life was the document, and those who witnessed it reported something extraordinary. In his final years, he carried no weight of regret, not because life had been easy, but because he had never allowed comfort to make decisions that belonged to his character. His arete was intact. The trap had found no purchase in a soul trained in voluntary hardship. Now, the practice Seneca performed each evening in his Tiburtine villa. He called it his daily examination. 3 questions, written in silence. Where did I fail virtue today? Where did I surrender to comfort when courage was required? What will I do differently at dawn? This is not guilt. It is prosoche, vigilant attention turned inward as a discipline. If this reflection has moved you, subscribe. Tomorrow we go deeper into what Marcus Aurelius wrote each night before sleep. The bell ensures you don't miss it. What comfort are you still unwilling to question?